Our next presentation will build upon our understanding that AI and machine learning are transformative catalysts for government platforms. Our next presentation delves into real-world applications, and it will explore how AI has not only enhanced public service delivery, but have also reshaped the way citizens interact with the government. Joining us virtually from Canada via Zoom is the Chief Executive Officer of PROTO. It's an AI-based communication platforms for business and government. Please extend a warm round of applause to Mr. Curtis Matlock.
Okay, hi everybody. Nice to meet you all. My name is Curtis Matlock. I'm the CEO of PROTO. We specialize in AI-based citizen experiences, specifically for government agencies and institutions. A lot of the deployments that I'm going to walk through today have been variously sponsored by development banks like the African Development Bank or the Asian Development Bank, as well as concerned sponsors in the financial inclusion space, such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. At a very high level, what PROTO is a contact center platform. So it's live chat, ticketing, etc. But we also have, most importantly, the capability for local language chatbots. So within the Philippines, this is chatbots for Tagalog, even mixed languages like Taglish. And we really focus for the government use case on expanding this technology to include as many citizens as possible from all walks of life. So we're going to walk through a couple of case studies today. For certain government agencies like the Banco Central or the Department of Trade and Industry. And we'll see how they're using these chatbots to include their consumers. Okay, so what is PROTO? So as I mentioned, we're a local communications platform for business and government. We integrate with over 20 messaging apps like SMS, WhatsApp, Viber. These are the critical messaging channels. Not many consumers are actually going to websites. So if you want to reach consumers, you got to be on the devices and the applications that they're actually using. So we really focus on trying to deliver complex government services through Facebook Messenger, for example. To date, around the world, over 15 national government agencies and sub-agencies are currently deployed on the PROTO platform. Interestingly, COVID-19 was a huge paradigm shift where a lot of consumers and citizens started using digital services, in many cases for the first time, for many different areas of their lifestyle. And we saw a 300% surge in chats from citizens within the government industry through our platform. Because of the nature of our deployments, working with central banks, for example, which regulate hundreds of individual businesses, we've also deployed this technology deep into those businesses as well. And I'll go through some use cases on how we did that today. That can be for the purposes of consumer protection, such as complaints processing. It can also just be for consumer awareness, embedding our chatbots or the government chatbots specifically on the websites of regulated entities. Here's just a quick deployment map to give a sense of scale for what we've done. Our work in the government space actually began in the Philippines, which is where we have this base of government agencies like the Central Bank of the Philippines, Securities and Exchange Commission, DTI, etc. Expanded into OJK in Indonesia, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa with several other regulators using us right now. Okay, let's walk through some problems. So earlier today in the sessions, I heard some of the issues that are trying to be solved around citizen awareness. This is perhaps one of the biggest problems when it comes to e-government or supervisory technology solutions is citizens or ordinary people just may not be fully aware of what services are being offered from government, and the methods of access might be limited. So here's a good use case here. This happened to be for the Banco Central's Bob, a BSP online buddy chatbot. This set out to solve the problem of citizens not being able to easily access the consumer complaints offering. And in this case of this consumer, this is a real consumer that had a financial complaint against a financial institution. They've been contacting their bank for about 8 months, trying to get a response to their issue as a refund matter. There was no response. So after, I think, just 7 days here of using the Central Bank of the Philippines chatbot, so lodging a complaint here, that complaint was automatically forwarded to the bank with the endorsement of the BSP. And then the matter was taken seriously and it was resolved and this consumer got a refund. So that's the power of using a Facebook Messenger chatbot on behalf of government for a consumer protection service that we're setting out to solve. We can go even further than that, though. So that chatbot that I just showed you, this one right here, this is on the BSP website and the BSP Facebook Messenger channel. But we can even go further than that. So what you're seeing here on my screen now, these are actual financial institutions. These are banks, microfinance organizations within the country of Rwanda in Africa. The central bank in this country, in Rwanda, made the decision to actually deploy their chatbot through a mandate on the websites and the messaging channels of all of these regulated businesses, which is possible to do with this type of e-government technology. Most of the financial consumer complaints in this country are now coming directly off of the financial institution websites. So that's also solving the problem of consumer awareness by just finding the shortest path to having consumers become aware of their rights. Okay, the second problem that we usually face with this technology is outdated backend systems. So sometimes it's just easier looking at a map like this to think of it more from an artificial intelligence perspective. What is the quickest opportunity to find automation? So we can just walk through the map with my cursor here. So yeah, government agencies can be limited by these legacy systems. And overall just waste time and resources, and it's not a great customer experience. So typically customers or citizens, they will engage through these traditional channels like email or voice calls, for example, even walking kiosks. This can be limiting to just urban environments or consumers that have a certain amount of financial literacy, for example. All of these cases are then flowing into a contact center. So government agencies, as you know, will be running some form of a call center, a team of agents doing either voice or text-based support. There can be some language issues here as well. If you're receiving a case in a certain dialect or local language, it might need to go through some translation steps, which could be destructive. All of this data is then being stored in some sort of a customer support citizen engagement database. And then it's invariably being forwarded off to some sort of regulated entity or another government agency for resolution. So there's a referral process, and then this third party is usually having to engage with the citizen. So there's a loop here, which can take several months. And there's plenty of opportunity for the chain here to become broken. So looking at this first problem here with the voice calls, mail, email, the traditional channels, reaching customers right on their main messaging apps, which they use every day, like Facebook Messenger, that's a no-brainer, offering them service directly on those channels. And you can do it at really high scale with AI-based chatbots. A lot of the queries that we also see from citizens, it's things like complaints or FAQ. A lot of that can be automated by artificial intelligence as well, if it understands local languages. And then finally, the referral piece, a pretty smart CRM-based system is able to route certain cases off to the right concerned agency or respondent. So many steps here can be automated. What you're seeing on my screen here as well is the next level. Let's say, for example, that a regulated entity, one of the businesses that your government agency might regulate, doesn't even have a system for engaging with citizens or customers. Let's just take the financial industry, for example. There's many new microfinance organizations that might just be using a Gmail account even to provide some sort of engagement with citizens. It's a big productivity problem. It's not scalable, and it also doesn't play nice with the government systems. Using a platform like PROTO's is possible to provide them with observer accounts, so they could actually log into the same system being used by the government agency to then engage with their citizens. So it's providing an even playing field that across the board in any industry, there at least are the tools for every single player to have the same type of opportunity to engage with their citizens, overall improving the citizen experience. Okay, then the final problem that we usually face is one around local languages. So I think the earlier speaker, the professor, made some really good points about India, where there's lots of dialects across India. It's a bit of a gold mine for data if you can make use of it. We're also in the same situation here at PROTO, and specifically in the Philippines, with all the various local languages, Tagalog, Cebuano, etc. These are what's called low resource languages. So within the AI industry, even for what's happening right now at ChatGPT, a lot of the large language models are built on English or Chinese, for example, major languages. The smaller languages are being left behind, and there's more inequality and disparity. So there is a need to have chatbots that actually understand things like mixed languages, so two languages at once, like Taglish. It's a level of specificity that certain platforms get down to beyond just being simple rule-based chatbots. Even ChatGPT, as incredible as it is and conversational as it is, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of the local language understanding. So our position on this is that we leverage ChatGPT as much as possible for the conversational capability, but also reserve the very specific niche-based AI technology for some of these language problems. How we do that is we collect vast amounts of data. So we're generating a significant corpus of data from these deployments, which are across entire industries, millions of chats in aggregate every single month flowing through our system in local languages. So over 70% of all of the AI training data that we have is from what's called these low resource languages across Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. All right, let's walk into some case studies now. And feel free to leave any questions in the chat as we go through this. We can come back to these slides later on. So I'd like to start off with the Securities and Exchange Commission of the Philippines, and hello to anyone from SEC who's in the audience. This one showed very significant growth. So it's on the SEC website. It's being used for things like the FAQs, submissions, business registration information. And as you'll see here, we had significant rates of year-on-year growth. So this is December 2022 to December 2023. Just in terms of the chats that are happening, 240,000, those are completed chats, bona fide finished chats. Every month, we're doing 600,000 messages as well within those chats. So it is a very high rate of growth that we don't typically see. So it just goes to show how quickly website visitors and Facebook Messenger visitors can adopt this technology. We've seen over time that customers and visitors, even citizens, are just becoming more familiar with this type of technology, to the extent that you would see this type of growth rate happening on the website of a Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay, the next case study is the Central Bank of the Philippines. Some more context here, and hello to any of the BSP folks who are in the audience. Some more context here is that the BSP was our very first government agency that and it was focused on solving this problem of consumer access and then also complaint resolution time. It was approximately 6 months to resolve a complaint using the old manual system. So that's a big productivity problem, and complaints are growing. So that timeline would have only increased. Indeed, when COVID-19 came around, what we found is there was a 3-time surge in complaint volume that happened at that time. So if there was no automation in place, no BSP Online Buddy chatbot, logically that would have led to a year and a half resolution timeline. So that's the value of automation and having that in place. So the BSP Online Buddy is a Tagalog, Taglish, and English chatbot that collects financial consumer complaints, and it's an extremely accessible channel on Facebook Messenger, the website, SMS. For taking in consumer complaints against any financial institution in the Philippines. It automatically categorizes the complaints, and then it forwards those complaints off to the institutions for resolution. And the system also provides the BSP with the ability to monitor the progress on each of those complaints until it's reached resolution. And I'm going to give a quick demo at the end of my presentation of the BSP Online Buddy itself. In terms of results here, it's been deployed in some form since 2019. It's now at a mature level. And what we see is 500,000 monthly messages are flowing through the BSP Online Buddy. Because it's been deployed for a while, we've been able to refine it up to 99.75% message level accuracy. So this is our ability to detect the intent of what the customer is trying to say. Specifically, what's the institution that they're complaining about? What is the product and service category that we're able to pull out of those messages. And we should also add that these are complaints as well. So it can be emotional. It can have typos and have a lot of information. So it wasn't an easy use case to deal with. You'll see here as well that it's evenly split between fixed messenger and web chat. Web chat just is the actual chat box in the bottom right corner of the website. So this just shows the importance of actually being on the messaging app channels. It's as popular, just a little bit less than the actual website. Okay, moving on, we'll go to the Department of Trade and Industry. So this is the TIA, the TIA chatbot, which has been deployed on the DTI's main website and channels, but also across 11 sub-agencies, which fall underneath the department. And the need here as well was to follow in the footsteps of the BSP Online Buddy, have a very powerful chatbot for the hundreds of FAQs that these sub-agencies get from citizens, and also directing them to the right resources. The DTI being a very expansive department, there is a need to aggregate all of this information in one place so that customers and citizens don't have to go digging through all the various websites. So in its first iteration, it started off as a knowledge management tool, and we're continuously building that out with some of the unique requirements of these sub-agencies, like the business name registration agency. Okay, and then if we just look at the results here, this is the year-on-year growth rate. So it's doing 300,000 monthly messages flowing through the TIA chatbot. And interestingly, this number here, the 5x, so proactive deployment is where the chatbot can begin talking on its own. So based on certain website behaviors, certain behaviors in the messaging apps, we're able to trigger a chat. So assume or detect that a customer or a citizen might have a certain requirement and then reach out to them proactively. So that's a certain type of feature that we're still tinkering with for the government use case. But it's quite powerful in solving that consumer awareness problem. Even if they're on the website, even if they've gone to the bother of being on the Facebook page of one of these agencies, they still might not know what help they need, in which case it's important to close that last mile and start the chat. Okay, and then finally, we'll just jump countries here. This is a really interesting one in Rwanda, which I mentioned earlier. So this is a WhatsApp and SMS chatbot. It's also for the purposes of financial consumer protection. It's in the extremely rare language of Kinyarwanda, so one of our most challenging languages that we've worked in, where there is no available training data. We had to do the fundamental work ourselves. And then you'll see the growth here. This is the one that did deploy not only on the channels of the central bank, but also via a mandate on every single channel of all the regulated entities, all the regulated banks and financial institutions in the country. So it had extreme access to consumers. If you go to any website of any bank in this country, you'll see, it's called the Ntumwa chatbot. You'll see the National Bank of Rwanda chatbot in the bottom right corner. So it's a very large amount, 78% of all of the complaints are being generated through that chatbot, which is embedded on those websites. Great, okay. And then I think we'll just jump into a demo here to show you what the technology looks like from the citizen perspective. So I'll just switch screens. Okay, you should be able to see the Banco Central website now. So I'm going to zoom in here. And we're going to start a chat, and I'll show you how it works from a consumer perspective. Okay, so this is just a quick welcome text here. We're going to start a new complaint. Agree to the privacy policy. Okay, so I'm just going to say that the name of this bank I want to complain about is called Bank One. So we'll just say Bank One canceled my credit card. They didn't even tell me. Please help. I'll be really angry about it. Okay, and we'll see what happens now. Okay, so Bob, the BSP Online Buddy, correctly identified that this is a credit card issue, which is correct. That's one of the product and service categories. And it correctly pulled out as well that is Bank One. So Bank One is the entity that's being complained about. Previous to this technology being in place, human agents would actually have to go through every single complaint, and they're much bigger than this, and they would have to pull out this information. So we're now using artificial intelligence to do the categorization work here. Okay, we'll say that's correct. Great, and now it's asking us to upload attachments. So we're now going to follow the actual process prescribed by the Banco Central for how it wants these cases to be generated. And we're trying to do this as efficiently as possible as well, in the interest of consumers. We'll skip that because we don't have any evidence. It's asking us if we already contacted the business, the financial institution. If we've not done so, it'll give us the contact information because that is the first step per policy. But we'll say that we have to continue on and generate this case. We'll say that we did it by phone call, is how we contacted them. Okay, it wants to know if we're now the complainant or the representative. Sometimes family members will engage on behalf of themselves, but we'll say that we're the complainant. Okay, it's going to get my personal details now. So I'll give it my name. Okay, and it wants to know my geographic region. We'll say I'm from Davao. Okay, I don't want to give it my phone number. And then my email. Okay, and then my gender. And then that should be it. And it will now generate a code that I can use, a reference case that I can use to come back and check on the case. And it's advising me of what my rights are and the next steps in the process. And so this case would have automatically been generated and already forwarded off to Bank One for response. And they would have all of my details to get back to me. And I could have generated this through Facebook Messenger as well. So that's the current version of the technology. What I'm going to show you next is more of a demo version. And this is using ChatGPT in some ways that do respect data privacy, considering this is a government use case. This is a demo of the TIA, so the Department of Trade and Industry chatbot. We've been exploring some interesting use cases with it. We've basically fed it all of the websites, all the sub-agency websites, any data that was possibly available to us has been used to power this chatbot. So it's much more intelligent than the current version of TIA, which is currently on the website. It's also been controlled to become more compassionate as well, so more sensitive to what it's going to be hearing. So we'll just type something in here like, hey Tia, how do I file an FOI? I called earlier, but waited for 30 minutes and no one answered, and we'll be not happy about that. Okay, so let's see if it can understand the acronym for FOI and if it can be sympathetic to me for the amount of time that was wasted. All right, so it's going to be chugging away here, going through all of the data that was used to train it to come up with the appropriate answer. And here it is. So immediately it realizes that the problem here is that I'm a really dissatisfied citizen. So it's immediately addressing that. So it's saying, I apologize for the wait you experience. Then it correctly realizes that this is a freedom of information request that I'm asking to file an FOI. So it's giving me all of the directions on how to do it. And then it's also being friendly with the tonality, trying to improve the citizen experience, offering more help. I could even get more detailed here. So I could even say, I suffer from asthma, so I find it hard to work sometimes. Tell me about programs for disabilities. So let's see if it can understand that. Okay, and I think I also put some typos in there too. Okay, so immediately I'm here to assist you. It's letting me know that there are indeed programs for disabilities, and it's recommending that I go to the nearest office to get more details. So this is generated off of any of the website content. But let's say I'm not happy about that. I don't want to go to an office. So I'm just going to say, I want to speak with an agent. Right, and then T is going to hand me off to one of the customer support agents that might be available at DTI at that point. Okay, so that's a really quick overview of what Proto does, how we're leveraging ChatGPT these days in a controlled manner, and the sort of results that we've had with these various government agencies being on the front end, the front line of applying artificial intelligence to citizen engagement.